So welcome to the 3ds Max tutorial. Today I'll be going through the real basics of how to model, render, and animate in 3ds Max. So in 3ds Max there's 4 viewports, just like Rhino, we can utilize to model. And there's options as well for each viewport along this little button here, where you can maximize, activate any different viewport along here, disable, or so on and so forth. So for example, let's maximize the viewport. Simply just click on it, and to restore it, simply go back up there and just simply hit restore, or just Alt W for keyboard shortcut. And the toolbars will all be along here, and the right hand side panel here, along with over here. So all the tools you need will basically be along here, but all you need will be along here and there. So when modeling, just focus on these two for now. Along the bottom here would be your animation tools, and the four main components that you need for modeling will be along here: the select object, move, rotate, and scale. These 4 will be utilized the most with modeling in 3ds Max, so just remember to use these. And for the keyboard shortcuts, select object would be Q, W would be move, E would be rotate, and R would be uniform. So QWER will be the main 4 components you'll use for modeling in 3ds Max. And the world planes would be the XYZ plane, just like Rhino. The only difference is in 3ds Max, the Z axis is the vertical one compared to Rhino, where Y is the vertical axis. So just keep that in mind, the 2 differences, and I'll further elaborate on how it can affect importing, exporting from Rhino to 3ds Max. Along the left hand side will be your layers window. Now this will be real helpful for you when importing models from Rhino, because of the many layers that it will recognize. So just keep this open when modeling. And usually when you open 3ds Max, layers isn't open. It's usually just a blank slate like this with your 4 viewports and tools. So to open up layers, you simply go along here at the top toolbar to toggle layer explorer, and just simply click, and it'll open up your layers bar, and you simply just snap it like that. To maneuver around 3ds Max, you simply use the view cube along all 4 views here, and you simply just click and drag to orbit. Or for keyboard shortcuts, Alt scroll key would be orbit. Simply clicking the scroll key and dragging will be panning, and scrolling through the scroll key will be zooming. So in 3ds Max, it utilizes a scroll key a lot for maneuvering, so just keep that in mind when modeling. And to start modeling, you can either create a primitive from the create tab here, or you can go along the top here to underneath create to create a box. So for example, let's create a box like so. So you can just click and drag to create manually, or if you want something to scale, you simply choose what you want to create. For example, a box, you can just go keyboard entry, and along here there's the length, width, and height of the object, which you can type in. For example, let's make it 50 by 50 by 50, and the XYZ options along here would basically be your origin point for your object. So as of right now, the origin point will be 0, 0, 0. So it'll be right in the middle there, where your object will be created. But if you want your object created along here, or there, and so on and so forth, you can just type in 10, 10, 10 as an example, and it will create your object 10 points from X, 10 points from Y, and 10 points from Z, and that'll be your new origin point. So for example, let's hit create, and as you can see, it's floating 10 units up, and the origin point is 10 units from X and Y. Or we can just simply create from 0, 0, 0, just like that. Nope. So you can see it sits flat on the plane, and it's at 0, 0, 0 origin. And in 3ds Max, the interface or software utilizes meshes, so the segments along the parameters you can change. At the moment there's only one segment per face, but if you want to start editing it, you can start adding segments to it. For example, 10 segments from each side. Simply hit create, like that. 50. Why isn't it creating? Start again. So 50 creates, and there it is. You can change the amount of segments as well, depending on how detailed you want to manipulate your model. So let's change it down to 10, like so. And with each segment you can manipulate, which I will show in a bit. The other option would be to import a model from another software, for example Rhino. So let's say we have Cube in Rhino, and we can export this to 3ds Max, like so, as an OBJ file. Now the OBJ file will be the main file, or the main link between Rhino and 3ds Max, and it will be the only file that both softwares can read. So for example, let's say we got a cube, we'll save on desktop, and just simply choose mesh, OBJ group, and it's important, really important to check this box, the map Rhino Z to OBJ Y, and just okay. And you simply go back to 3ds Max and just import along here. So to import, you just simply go to the icon on top here and just import and import. And we've got cube here. We can import, and there's options all along here. And the main things to keep in mind will just be the flip ZY axis, as explained before, with the difference between the vertical axis in Rhino and 3ds Max. So just tick that. That will be your main priority, or the main thing to keep in mind. And everything else will just be up to you, like materials and so on and so forth, what kind of object you want to import it as. So let's just keep it as a retriangulate polygon for now, and just simply press import, and it'll simply pop up. So this will be real helpful for creating animation for a model you create in Rhino. So you simply just import an OBJ file from Rhino into 3ds Max, and it'll simply just show up here, like so. And exporting will be very similar. So let's say we have a box along here. Turn the normal segments down. and we want to export this into Rhino. So you simply just select the object, go up here, and just simply go under export, and export selected, or just export. So for example, let's just go export, and to bring into Rhino, as explained earlier, you save it as an OBJ file. Just simply do that. Q2 save, and it's really important, as explained earlier, to flip the YZ axis. So that'll be the main thing to check, and just simply press export, and we're done. And then you can simply open it up in Rhino, like so. And when importing from 3ds Max, just make sure to check the OBJY to Rhino Z, as explained earlier. And you've got your model in Rhino, like so. In 3ds Max, you can also modify the object from Rhino or the one you've created. For example, let's edit this. So to start editing, you simply select the object and you go to modify right alongside the create, and just make sure that's selected. And to edit, you just simply go to the modify list, and it'll open up a huge drop down menu, and you simply select edit poly to start editing. So for example, we want to edit the vertices or vertice. Simply press the vertex like so, and just choose a vertex you want to edit, and you simply use scale, rotate, move to edit it, like so. You can also do this with edges and borders on just polygons and elements in general. And for a smoother manipulation, you can use soft selection. So earlier I showed you that you can create objects. Just switch this back. You can create objects with different number of segments. So for example, along here, type in 50, 50, 50 segments, and you can modify each and every one of those for a smoother edit. So for this new object, oh, it's already flat. Anyway, so the new object, you simply go back to modify, the modify list, and just click on the drop down menu, and you select edit poly again, vertice, and each and every segment intersection will have a point or vertex, which will enable you to have more control and a more accurate shaping of your model. And you can do this using soft selection, like so. So you check that, and it has a 20 unit fall off, so it selects an area that's around 20 of the object as seen there. And you can change the fall off as well. So we want to, for example, we want a larger fall off, so we'll change it to 100, and as you can see, there's a bigger area it will affect now. And you simply just use the move tool and just drag up like so, and it's a lot smoother compared to the single vertice manipulation for this example. So there's a variety of options. There's also other options as well. For example, let's create another object. And we'll delete these two. There's other modify options as well along the drop down menu that you can experiment with. Oh, forgot to select. For example, let's try twisting. And you can see you can create a twist along here just by typing in like so. Or if you know the exact number, just type it in like that, and it'll simply edit it for you. So the main thing to use when modifying will be this modify tool here. You simply select the object and just use this drop down menu to edit, and there's a lot of options you can play with. And one thing that 3ds Max does that it keeps track of would be the modifying stack along here. There's a little window here, and it keeps track of all the changes and modifications you've made to an object. So as you can see, we've got a twist and the original primitive of a box, and you can simply check that and it'll simply revert back to the original box or primitive that you created. So it's sort of like a layering system similar to Photoshop, where it keeps track of all the changes and you simply just turn on and off each change. So for example, let's try another modify on the box taper. And let's say we want to taper that by 50. Nope, too much. 20. And so once you've made that change, it'll save along the modify list as well, just like so. And you can also just do that and open it up and switch between them. So if, for example, you've got this and you want to remember what it looked like as a taper, simply just uncheck that. So it's very similar to Photoshop. And now to start rendering the animation, let's see, let's delete this for now. Let's create a new object, reduce that. So for animation, which will be very important for the first years, you simply need the tools here. So there's the timeline and the two types of keyframe animations that you can use in 3ds Max. So for example, let's use the auto key, and to start animating you simply click on it, and with auto key, every change you make it will automatically set a key. So for example, let's say at 60 we want the object to be rotating 180, like so. So once you've made the change, it will create a little key, as you can see along there, and it will basically create all the different frames for you, like so. So let's go to 100 now. Let's say we want to rotate it this way, like so. And as you see, there's another key created, and it's very basic. So that's auto key, and once you've finished an animation, you simply just click like so, and like that. And for set key, so let's delete this. So set key is a more manual approach to animation compared to auto key. And let's start animating. So for example, let's say we drag the timeline to probably around 60. Let's say we want it to be rotating like so. And unlike auto key, every time you make a change, it won't create a key automatically for you. You have to do it yourself, which is sometimes a lot more precise or a lot more helpful. So for example, let's say we want to rotate it like so, and to set that key, you simply just create set key, and it'll create that frame for you like so. Oh, hold on. Let's say want that original position. Go 60. Just rotate like so, and set key. Why isn't it setting? There we go. Set key. So it's a more manual approach to animating. Set key. There we go. Set set key, and once you finish, just press set key. And for materiality, in 3ds Max, you simply just go to the toolbar along here and go to material editor. Simply open that up, and it'll give you a little window here. And there's two modes. Sometimes it opens up in a slate like so, and there's also the compact window. I personally prefer the more compact window, and it's a lot more easier to use. And to start adding material to your object, you simply select any one here and just go standard. And to add material, oh, there's not much here. Okay, let's try shellac. Simply discard all material like so, and then it'll give you a little preview icon up here. And to set the material to your selected object, you simply select the object you want and go assign material to selection like so, and it'll automatically assign it for you. .3ds Max also allows you to create lights and cameras as well, apart from models, and these will be real helpful, especially for renders. So to create a light, you go to the create tab and lights along here. Simply create that, and you want to go to the drop down menu and select standard lights. These will be the lights that will get rendered compared to photometric. Or you can go up to here, create, and just simply go lights like so, and standard. For example, let's try the target spotlight, and you simply just click and just click where the light source will be coming from, and just drag the light to the object like so. And don't worry if it's below or above or somewhere in the middle plane. You can change the position by simply selecting the light source along here or along here, spotlight, layers, and just go move. You can just drag that up like so using the axis, or you can do a more freeform. Over here, highlight the rectangle, so that's more freeform. Oh, hold on. Spots. There you go. So that's sort of more freeform, and it's very similar as well with cameras. So to create a camera, you simply go to create tab again, or along here, and just go to cameras like so, along here, And for example, we want a target camera, so just select target, and just like the light, you simply create or click where you want your camera to be, and just drag towards your the object that you want to view, like so. And you can also just change the position, just like lights, using the move tool and just selecting the camera, like so. You can also change the target as well. So for example, let's try the target of the spotlight. You can change the position as well using the move tool in exactly the same method, like so. Same with the camera. And to view what the camera is viewing, you simply go to any view along here. For example, let's go perspective. You just click on it, and underneath there'll be cameras, and just select the camera, and you'll be able to view what the camera is viewing. So you can simply just manipulate the camera like that, or the target if it's not positioned properly. Ooh, target like that. There you go. So it's very simple. You can also animate or you can animate the camera as well, just like the objects. So let's say you want to create a flyby of the object. You simply select the camera and select either order key or set key, like so. And we wanna, let's say we want 60. We want the camera to be moving across like so, and it'll automatically create that key for you. So the camera rotates just like that. And just auto key, you can play that back. Oh, wrong view, like so. So this will be very helpful for your animation for media. And to render out the animation, you simply go to rendering up here and go render setup, or you can simply, oh, it's cut off here, but it's along here as well, render setup. So you just simply go up here along the toolbar and just click render setup, or F10 as a keyboard shortcut, and it'll open up a little window here full of options of what you can render. And for animating, you want either the active time segment or the range. For example, let's go with the range, and what we've animated lasts 100 frames. So we select 0 to 100, and you want to render the view that we've selected. And there's also sizes you can change. For example, let's go 800 by 60, or you can manually type in the dimensions like so. Or if you want to save or keep the image aspect or the pixel aspect of, let's say, 640 by 480, you simply just click lock along here, these two, and you can just simply type in your preferred dimension and automatically adjust the height according to the pixel and image aspect. And another option that you want to utilize will be the file output or the render output, where you can simply just press file, and this will save your animation, say like so, AVI. So these will be the settings to use to save the animation. Just simply press save, and the final one will be assign render. So, and as default, 3ds Max will use a scanline renderer, but we want to use Mental Ray, which I personally prefer because of better quality. and it just looks cooler. So you simply choose mental ray, and once all the options are set, the view to render is quad camera, yep, and you simply press render, and it will render each and every single frame. Ooh, what's the aspect? Oh, let's cancel this. Let's try a smaller frame rate. Render. Yep. So as you can see along here, it slowly renders each and every single frame automatically for you. And we'll just wait for that to finish. And once it's all done, it will save to where you chose to save your file along the render output along the bottom here. Like so. Let's close that. Let's go to desktop, and there's the animation. Very simple. And 3ds Max is also really good for production rendering as well. And I personally prefer rendering with 3ds Max compared to V-Ray and Rhino because of the detail, and it just looks a lot better. Because in V-Ray, renders turn out very plastic-like, and it just looks like toys. Whereas in 3ds Max, it looks a lot more. How would I say it? It just looks better, yeah. So for example, to render, you simply just go back to render setup, and you want to check a single frame. You simply change the settings like so before, and you want to save the file as JPEG like so. We'll just change it, so on and so forth, mental ray, and then camera, and just simply hit render like so.